Well, it's great to have you all here. Hud, from the ministry, recognizing that you reflect the policy side of this discussion, I really do want to start the conversation with you, because vision has to come from somewhere. And I think that vision's emanated out of the energy ministry quite vibrantly. Tell me, what do you see as the greatest opportunities for the kingdom as it works towards its 2030 goals and 2060 goals?
Well, thank you, Landon. I could say that from the very beginning, the kingdom have looked at how we can build a regime on climate that would accommodate all kinds of approaches and also accommodate all possible scenarios and circumstances. And it was for sure that it cannot be one model and it cannot be one pathway. And the pathway that we have finally designed for a circumstance like this region's circumstances was endorsed in the G20 in 2020 when it was hosted in Saudi Arabia. And that approach basically does not care about the sources. It cares about the emission and how we can manage that emission from all kinds of sources, as well as how we can add to that also another transition, which is material transition, that could also help in bringing not only the objective of the Paris Agreement, but also it would help in, at the end of the day, making sure that we would do that in the context of sustainable development, as we have. From that point, I think Saudi Arabia has worked diligently. His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince, has managed to have two initiatives that are extremely major in making this a reality and on the ground. And that was the Saudi Green Initiative, as well as the Middle East Green Initiative, which both has not looked at the kingdom internally, but also looked externally with regards to this important region of the world. And from that point, I think with the approach that we have put as a pathway for us, helped us first in making sure that our 2030, which is the short-term goals, are on the ground, and we're really steadfast in meeting that goal, but also helped us in looking at the long-term strategy, which is basically the 2060 goal. Even though we've been very clear from the very beginning that 2060 could be much earlier than that. And the technology is exactly the reason for making that a reality. So those projects that we have, like with the GE and other, are going to be projects that would really hopefully advance those technologies to the point that we can reach those goals.
I just want to build on this with one more follow-up here. You know, as coming from Washington, D.C., at some point I'm going to be asked by the Secretary of Energy, how do you define net zero? And you know, what I heard from you is that the circular carbon economy, the materials transition, there's a lot of components to that. So, you know, from the perspective of the kingdom, how do you define net zero? Is it net zero emissions? Is it the temporal nature that we need to focus on? What's the biggest focus for you?
This was, a $1 million question that was put to each and everyone in Paris to say how can we define a goal for the future regime that we have on climate. And the only goal that really survives and have that consensus was the goal of emission, basically greenhouse gas emission balance between sources and emission by sinks. And this is exactly Article 4.1 of the Paris Agreement. So it was decided, as a matter of fact, at that point, that an inclusive approach it has to be the approach to go. But we understand that different regions have different circumstances, different interests, different endowments that would help them, move their progress in meeting their goals much faster. And for us, sticking to emission, sticking to what we have for the Paris Agreement was the only way we can find a possibility to meet those goals that we have committed ourselves with.
Mazin, Khaled talks about a very pragmatic structure to this. But I will say, when we're the near-term target, 2030, and a massive increase in the exposure and the capacity, both of growth on the power sector, but particularly in the renewable energy sector, is quite ambitious. And I'm just interested to hear your thoughts on how the milestones are progressing and what challenges and opportunities you're seeing developed as we push forward.
Right. So thanks, London. Maybe I will start by saying a lot has happened since we last met in Baku. So when it comes to projects tendering and deploying. And yes, the 2030 target is a very ambitious target. And we've always said that we want to achieve for the electricity sector 50% to be from renewable energy, which is huge. And then 50% from combined cycle on natural gas, clean combined cycle, that is, because we're adding the provision for the decarbonization as we go forward. So the pace is picking up. Last year alone, 2024, we closed the year by a total of tendering projects of 42 gigawatts. That's about half the grid of 85 gigawatts that we have today. So that gives you a context of the scale that we are, rapidly installing projects or tendering out projects to be installed to achieve that target. On the renewable energy space particularly, it's 20 gigawatt per year. So we did 20 gigawatt last year and about 23 gigawatt actually last year. And 20 gigawatts is going to happen this year, and we're going to continue to do that until 2028 to be able to achieve the target of 2030. The road is not easy, of course, on that. And so in terms of capacity in the market, the availability of supply chain to be able to support us. And, but we rely on our partners, and the vision is clear. We're very clear on our plan. We communicate our plan very clearly. And what we would like to say is that while others, perhaps, when it comes to net zero, are talking everywhere in conferences and others, we're actually executing. We put projects on the ground today. By the end of 2025, end of 2024, we had 6 gigawatts connected to the grid from renewable energy, and about 44 gigawatts of renewable energy projects in various stages as we go forward. And we're going to reach 13 gigawatts of connected renewable energy to the grid by the end of the year. I think these are significant milestones that's going to help us achieve our target.
Well, and when you talk about key partners in this exercise, you can be the principal buyer, but then the operator has to get to work and make sure everything's functioning well. So I want to go to the SEC here, and Khaled, bring the same conversation to you. As we're exposing and introducing so much new supply and so much clean energy into the grid as well, how important a role does SEC play in that transformation? And what is your perspective of the next 5 years, this near-term goal?
Thank you so much. At first, it's a great honor and pleasure to be part of this distinguished panelist with my colleagues and friends. And thanks to GE Vernova, our partner, to the Kingdom and partner to SEC in particular. In order for us to address your point, we would like to start by understanding the global landscape so that we can appreciate what is happening in the Kingdom. If we look around us, many countries have progressed in their energy transition or renewable integration. We are in Saudi Arabia, we are not only catching up, we are setting new benchmarks. And to be more precise, other countries, the like of Nordic, the UK, the German, their transition and the level that they have reached to so far took decades. In Saudi Arabia, in contrast, in less than a decade, we are very well on track to achieve our energy mix of 50-50 by 2030. And we in Saudi Electricity Company, as the largest operator in the Kingdom, part of the energy ecosystem, we do acknowledge our role in this transition, And we are working with all stakeholders, including our partners and suppliers, the policymaker, the ministry, the principal buyer, to make that happen. And we always tell ourselves in the company, in this energy transition, no transition without transmission. So the transmission is a critical backbone component on this energy transition, and this is why we want to do it in a sustainable, reliable, and cost-efficient approach. As the largest integrated utility company in the MENA region, responsible and operating more than 55 gigawatt of the kingdom's installed capacity as of today, and to your point, what to expect in the next few years, we are adding more than 27 gigawatt in the next 5 years. Owned and co-owned, owned by us as an expansion of our current fleet, but also co-owned with our strategic partner, the like of Aqua, who are with us today. When it comes to the transmission, today Saudi Electricity Company operates and run more than 95,000 kilometers of transmission. By 2030, we will exceed 160,000 kilometers of transmission. So that's more than 50% of the current installed base. When it comes to the distribution side of the business, today we operate more than 900,000 kilometers of distribution. And by 2030, we expect to exceed 1.1 million kilometers of distribution network. So simply put, we are adding more than 50% of the current infrastructure in just 5 years. And this is the speed and scale that the kingdom is doing. So we are not only catching up, but we are setting a new benchmark for the rest of the world to learn from.
You're making my assessments from a decade ago look like a relic. I mean, it's amazing to see the scale and pace of this transformation.
Well, I think a decade is long. I mean, if you visit next year, you will see something different.
I'm getting familiar. I was here in October, and there's a lot of change on the horizon already. Mavi, obviously, Khalid here referenced that this is a global movement, right? We're watching energy transition. We're watching a conversation around the energy system develops around net zero globally. But the scale and pace here is really remarkable. And just as you have as a global company in GE Vernova with global exposure, what are you seeing here in this 5-year sprint to 2030 that's unique and an opportunity for GE?
So thank you, Landon, and it's a pleasure to be here with these esteemed panelists, and good morning, everyone. And says, what are we seeing? We're seeing a lot. First of all, let me start recognizing, the vision, the leadership put a vision here, and it's very clear. And I think that this vision of net zero by 2060 goes beyond the power for sure, but it also includes the role that power could play in the growth of the economy, in the growth of the kingdom, and it's really important. And this very practical approach of gas plus renewables, understanding that gas is going to stay in here, and it's the most efficient ways to reduce the emissions, 50% of carbon emissions in the kingdom that comes from the power segment. But at the same time, it's not only to go with the new generation that is needed, but it's also the way to really allow the penetration of renewables, just to making the grid more stable. That we need that as well. So the vision is extremely clear, and the pace at which it is being executed, it's also important. And think about the progress. We're saying it on, first is the penetration of renewables. Second is this liquid to gas switching in helping this journey. And then is the new capacity. Mazin said it before when said 44 gigawatts at different stages of renewables in here in the last 4 or 5 years. So that's a lot. Think of it, it's half of the total capacity of the UK or Switzerland and Austria together, just to put things into context. But for sure, to keep on doing that, you need more gas. Only last year, we secured orders for 6 H classes, our most efficient one. And think about the role that it could also play in these emissions reductions. Think about replacing, 2 gigawatts of E-class for this most efficient H-class. We could think about it in combined cycle mode. We're reducing 5 million tons a year of CO2. So that's the pace at which, this is happening. And also the change from liquid to gas. Here in Riyadh, we are pretty proud working together with Saudi Electric, with Alphanar, just changing this power plant 10 from liquid to gas. We're already, saving another almost 2 million of CO2 per year of going into the atmosphere. So it's a very clear vision. It's the pace at which it is being executed. But as it was said earlier, it doesn't come without challenges. The challenges are there. And when we think about the challenges, I think that it's not going to be with this clear vision on the vision and on the technological side of it. Is how do we work together? We need to align all the different players and work as partners in here, from policymaker to accelerate the licensing and permission. How do we work? The generators with the OEMs. How do we add all the ecosystem of suppliers as well? And probably as important as all of the above, how do we get the talent of today, but also keep on working together in building the talent for the future? Because the targets are really huge in here, and we need all that talent, and working together, it's going to be key on that.
On that challenge and the number of players involved, I do want to come back to that a little bit later, because I think part of the unique story here is the collaboration that we have reflected on the stage, and in terms of the core components. But before I do that, I want to talk about the uniqueness of the kingdom in the region and the ambition, and going back to the vision of the ministry, if I can, Khaled, 200 gigawatts of renewables and natural gas by the end of this vision. Some of that is also going to be reflected and benefit from efficiencies in a regional context. And I'm curious how the ministry is balancing its role as a regional player with the ambition of the domestic agenda, which is so comprehensive that I could see that requiring a disproportionate amount of attention. But there's a bigger vision for the kingdom here in the Middle East Green Initiative as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Landon, for that. I think the vision basically is a vision for a country. It's a vision that this country wanted to diversify in a very fast pace. We've seen that fast pace, as a matter of fact, happening not only in the energy side, which is the economic side also, because energy and economic is very much hand in hand, but we've seen it in the other sectors, environment, in one hand, and this is where adaptation takes really a great uptake, as well as social, where we're looking at how can labor also be ready for this vision of the future with that fast pace. So economic diversification is really the basis for all our plans that we have, whether in the energy or the other sectors. So if we look at the energy sector, we're really seeing a great opportunity where this kingdom becomes a kingdom of energy. So that's a great vision for the energy sector, where we wanted to make sure that all types of energies, Saudi Arabia will continue to be a leader on as we move. And this is basically our vision, even in the short term, which is to 2030. But that would not happen if we do not tap in all the resources that we have, whether it is the sun, the wind, the hydrocarbons that we have, in making sure that it is very well abated and friendly to the agreements that we have agreed and put ourselves with, but also with regards to removal at the end of the day, and how we wanted to make sure that we are helping the nature from a nature point of view, but also from a technology point of view, where we wanted to make sure that this is really driving us beyond 2030 to the net zero that we are looking for at the end of the day. So that vision, it is really built on the economic diversification basis or foundation for what we have right now.
And that response is really a foundation for where I was hoping to take this conversation. If I move to your right and bring Khalid with the SEC back in, you know, you and I had an opportunity to discuss this a little bit about these opportunities that Khalid's articulating. What do you see as the greatest opportunities for the kingdom as it works towards these 2030 goals? And can you provide a little bit more context just in terms of where you see the kingdom really having an advantage in this space?
Well, honestly speaking, I think the entire kingdom is full of opportunities nowadays. In every sector we talk about, in every sector we explore, there is an opportunity. But in particular to the energy and the power sector, I wanted to be specific on three specific opportunities. The first one is relevant to what my colleague Khalid just mentioned. The clear vision that we have had, be it Vision 2030 or the energy vision that His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz has articulated for all of us, gave us a very clear guidance to be the power hub for the region. Today, the kingdom is moving at speed, and we are taking that role as SEC, as an operator, to make sure that our fleet is efficient in order for us to grow, but at the same time, we control and optimize and minimize our emissions, part of our decarbonization strategy. We are expanding our transmission. We are expanding our footprint in the distribution, and we are preparing the grid for the renewable connection. And this gives us a very good positioning to be the power hub for the region. GCC already connected to our grid. Our project that His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz referenced in his visit to Egypt a week ago is ongoing, is progressing very well. The first phase of it, inshallah, will be energized this year, and many other projects. So we are positioning ourselves as the kingdom, and in particular to us in the Saudi Electricity Company, to be the power hub, so we will be exporting power. That's opportunity number one. Opportunity number two, because of the huge investment that we are doing today in the kingdom, our investment plan in Saudi Electricity Company does exceed around $150 billion for the next few years. And we really want to leverage that investment to localize and bring manufacturing base here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And in collaboration with the Ministry of Energy, where they are leading that, a localization team in the ministry, and I would strongly advise anyone to interact with the young women and men we have in the ministry or we have in the company who are leading the localization. We have progressed to bring partnership and manufacturing base here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Actually, the Ministry of Energy has already set the target clear for us to be 75% localization by 2030, and we are responding to that positively in the company. Last year, 2024, we concluded by around 70% localization, which is very well on track to achieve the 75%. But it's very important for our partners in the supplier, in the contractor and manufacturer to understand what we are doing so that they can be with us in this journey. We are responding positively to the market. We introduced a new tool. We called it Localization Purchase Agreement, or LPA for short, to make sure that we attract businesses based on demand. We have identified the demand for us until 2030, and then we took percentage from that demand as a commitment from us to the suppliers under one simple condition. you open a factory here in the kingdom so that we give you that demand. And this has responded positively also by the suppliers. And we are targeting a volume of around 33 billion Saudi riyal worth of products and services, out of which we will be able to establish or expand 19 factories in the kingdom. So this is opportunity too. We export power, but we want to also export products from Saudi Arabia. Third opportunity is the technologies that we are bringing, be it in the integration, be it in the battery storage, be it in the artificial intelligence for demand management and forecast. All of these things will require new skill sets. And this is what we are leveraging, and the MOU that we exchange with our partners in GE Vernova speaks to that, to establish a good center here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the power to train our talented women and men to meet the future. So we will export power, we'll export products, but we will also export know-how to the rest of the world.
This ambitious platform, of course, is always going to be evolving, Mazen. I think, you know, if you're going to achieve decarbonization goals, if you're going to work at the pace that you are here in the kingdom to meet these 2030 and 2060 net zero goals, can you speak a little bit? I want to give you an opportunity to give voice to what you still need and how the system needs to evolve to meet Saudi Arabia's goals. What do you still need from OEMs to collaborate with you on? Where are there gaps? Where are there opportunities to innovate that can be beneficial to the kingdom's ambition?
Sure. So we talked about our targets. We talked about our vision and how we're clear on our plans. We can't get there without our partners, and I mentioned partners again because, as I mentioned it earlier. So we have SEC, of course, our partners as well, Aquapower. By the way, I rarely go up on stage without my partner Riyadh on stage from Aquapower. So
we'll include him later.
Yeah, there you go. So, but we have also, you know, an event like this from our partner GE as well shows commitment on the ground that they are here to support us as well, and I'm sure others we have also in an audience. I see EDF, NG, and other partners too. We would like to be very clear in our plans. We'll give you a head time on our schedule. Our ministry is engaged with us, and if you think about it, also our ministry is our partner in paving the way and doing the financial reform that happened 4 years ago, led by His Royal Highness, that enabled us financially and commercially to be able to work with our partners to deliver on these projects. So we're going to be clear on our plans. We're going to be clear on the timeline. We're aware of the market challenges when it comes to the supply chain, when it comes to access to financing, when it comes to the availability of EPCs. But if we're able to reduce the risk for you, be it through the planning ahead, be it through making sure that however the projects that we're putting together out are executable from a time frame standpoint and from a commercial sense standpoint, I think that should score a win-win for both us and our partners. We have a big target to achieve. The target is going to displace about 1 million barrels a day from our system of oil. That's not a small number. And for us to achieve it, I think we're halfway through, and we'll get there.
Mabi, same question to you, but just with the lens of a company coming into the kingdom. Where do you see the opportunity to innovate and to continue to build out this relationship?
Well, when you think about how Vernova was born, I mean, after the spin-off, think about what is at the core of our mission. I mean, the electrification and decarbonization. It's not one or the other, it's one and the other. But at the same time, we are seeing this unprecedented demand growth for electricity all across the world. So we need to deliver on it. The beauty is that we can play in all of the above technologies. So we have the technologies of today. We have gas for sure, we have hydro, we have all the renewables, we have nuclear as well. But we understand that this is a journey, and a journey where we need to keep on working also on the technologies of the future. So when we think about that is, how do we decarbonize those technologies? Think about the gas, pre-combustion or post-combustion with carbon capture, direct air capture. Think about the small modular reactor and the role that it could play also in the energy transition. So that's the reason why we keep on investing around 1 billion a year in R&D, just to make sure that we develop the technologies of tomorrow. But on that is how we also make, and it was discussing here as well, the grid not only larger, but also smarter. And we also need to think not only on the generation side, but also on the transmission and the orchestration of it. And that's the reason why, I mean, the digitalization of the grid, our software and investments that we are doing there, it's also important, because with this more and more complexity that we are adding to the system, we also need that. So for us, this is a journey. We know the technologies that we have available today, but we also understand that we need to keep on developing the technologies of the future.
And I'm excited, after the coffee break, we'll have a chance to explore some of the new facets of why the journey is so quickly changing with the conversation on AI and data centers. Before that, and to close the conversation, I'm cognizant of time here. I want to key on one last facet for the gentlemen I have on the stage here. You all represent a different component of enabling this transformation in the kingdom. And so just a brief reflection from each of you, if I could, in terms of the enablers to whether it be grid management or deploying these resources at scale, the policy that's enabling it. Maybe each of you could just make a note about what is unique about the kingdom in making the ambition a reality here. Khaled, I'll start with you from the ministry.
Well, decarbonization from the very beginning of the Vision 2030 has been part of this DNA of this region, as a matter of fact, of this country also. And His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz has always said that both of them are connected, but both of them have to be mutually helping each other in making sure that it is helping the economic cause as well as the decarbonization cause. All of them are connected. It's a nexus, as we have always seen that.
Perspectives from the operator?
I think there are many enablers, but I would like to focus on the key one. The first one is the ecosystem synergy and collaboration. In such an accelerated transformation with very aggressive targets, if we don't talk to each other in a very open and transparent way, we will not be able to do it. And I think, and I strongly believe, the ecosystem collaboration that is happening today in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, led by the Ministry of Energy, is a story to be told to the rest of the world. So that's the first enabler. Second enabler is back to what Mavi and Khaled mentioned, the use of technologies. We really cannot and will not be able to manage the expansion at speed and at scale with the current technologies that we have as of today. So investment in technologies is critical for us to be able to complement the AI and HI. AI, artificial intelligence, but also HI is important, the human intelligence part of the business. Third enabler to me is the partnership. This is a journey, and no one has it all, and we should rely on the partnership within the ecosystem, the policymaker, the regulator, the principal buyer, the operator, the manufacturer and suppliers and contractors. This is a partnership model. Transactional model of buy and sell will not cut it for us. So these are just 3 quick enablers for the interest of time.
Mazin, I think, talking of this synergy, in a world where trying to achieve this is often a very fractured process, it seems to be the pieces are falling in place here in the kingdom. But, part of the uniqueness of the Saudi power procurement company is that you saw an issue and you knew you needed to transform it, and you're providing that service now. So can you speak a little bit to this synergy and how it's functioned?
Right. So the principal buyer is basically acting as if we are the execution arm for the ministry for the vision and transformation. Okay. So just building on the synergy piece, the biggest challenge for any project, be it renewable conventional project globally, is basically securing the land and securing all the permits to be able to put that plant to operations. With the synergy that we're having, because the ministry plans a 25-year plan. We plan the 10-year plan for the execution. We work in synergies where the land allocation is in place before the project is tendered. If it's a renewable project, then as part of the tendering process, there is data collection of solar energy or wind speeds that are provided with the bid to de-risk the project. I think we, as a principal buyer, are uniquely positioned under the support of the ministry to be able to provide projects at pace that are de-risked to the developers and the contractors from the permitting standpoint, availability of land standpoint, and the availability of data. And then we sign an off-take agreement for 20 or 25 years where we have a credit rating of A3, which is equal to the sovereign rating. So that gives huge credibility and ability for the developer to access funding. So I think all of these enablers combined positions the principal buyer uniquely to be able to achieve this target.
Well, with that, we've come to the conclusion of our first panel. I will say the synergy that you have created in the kingdom is quite transformational, and I think it's a testament to the new era of energy we're here to talk about with GE Vernova and KAPSARC and the team on the ground. Really enthusiastic about the opportunities, because while the ambition is remarkably high, it is met with a pragmatism and an intentionality that's reflected across the stage here today. So if I can ask the audience to join me in thanking these panelists for their contribution, this is a great start to a really powerful day. Thank you.
Thank you.